Hi there, everybody. I'm Jennifer Angel. This is my weekly report for the week February the 2nd. And I'm going to do a quick overview per usual, and then we'll have a look at what's happening for each of the signs. Now, of course, it's the start of the month, so there's a lot of articles that go up at the start of the month, and this last week of the month is always busy for me getting the articles out to the various accounts, so hence why I'm a little bit right on deadline getting my weekly video up, so apologies for that. But if you go in and have a look at my pages on the New York Daily News /horoscope, there's always quite a bit of extra information on there. So there's a relationship self-development type article each month, as well as an astro article. This month, because of Valentine's Day, I've done the love stars for February, so you can have a look at that. And of course there's the monthly, daily and weekly horoscopes and pet horoscopes and a pet article as well. So quite a lot of information, additional information, which is on that side. Harper's Bazaar, of course, have the dailies as well, and there is a compatibility by star sign article. It may already be on up there. If not, then check on Monday. And Seduction Mills have a perfect proposal article up on their site for me this month, and because I do all the links from the Mistress of Astrology site, so you can go through there and pretty well, give me a couple of days to get the links up, but you can pretty well link to everything from there, okay, which is, I think, the easiest way. That's probably what I would be doing. All right, and if you're buying the magazine on paper, don't forget, if you're, Star Magazine, have my weekly horoscope in there too, so plenty of places to pick up what's happening for you this week, day and month. All right, so let's go through and have a look at what's happening for this week. So right on the 1st, which is the Sunday, we have a conjunction between Venus and Neptune. Now, both in the sign of Pisces. So this is beautiful. It's very romantic. Neptune is a romantic sort of energy, and Pisces just lives for love and romance. So to have Venus and Neptune together, it's conjunct, so they're right there at the same degree, excuse me. So one thing you want to be a little careful about is that it can be a little idealistic. And I don't mind that so much. I mean, who doesn't want to sit on cloud nine for a while and just sort of be idealistic about life and just enjoy the moment? And certainly with Valentine's Day coming up this month, and it's nice. It's a nice start to the month of love. Moving on the 2nd, we've got the Sun in interaction, a sextile with Uranus. This is a very magnetic, charismatic connection there. So once again, keeping this theme of love and romance. However, that magnetic appeal can be just connecting with people for all areas of your life. And as we go through the each star sign, then we'll just cover what areas of your life are highlighted more for this week. On the 5th, there's and at the times, this is Greenwich sort of times that I'm looking at here, when I'm writing the dailies, I always write on New York time, but with the videos I'm quite often quoting just the Greenwich time. So on the 5th, we've got Mercury, which is communication planet, in an interaction with Saturn, planet of reality. Now, Mercury, let's not forget, is still retrograde right through to the 11th, 12th. So this is very practical thinking with Mercury and Saturn, and you want to weigh things up carefully, particularly with Mercury being retrograde, so it can always cause a little bit of confusion. But with these two, I think this is great together in a retrograde transit, because Mercury retrograde particularly is a great time just to do some research, planning, and get your thoughts together. And Saturn is very methodical and practical and helps you do that, so you can use that energy really just to think through, get your goals set, and make any rearrangements or restructuring. And once again, it'll affect a different area of life for each and every star sign. The very next day, on the 6th, we've got the Sun in an opposition to Jupiter. Now, it is an opposition which traditionally can be a little challenging. Between the Sun and Jupiter, not so much. If it's between Mars and Uranus, then yeah, it's going to be a little more challenging, but not so much with these two. So it's more of a positive interaction and connection. You do want to be careful of being like overly optimistic. That Jupiter energy, with the Sun, that can set up once again a little bit of an idealism. So you want to be a little realistic, which the Sun will help you do, as well as being idealistic, okay? And I think if both are great if you can get somewhere in the middle, that moderation, that word moderation and balance, which is easier to say than do, that's for sure. And then right at the end of the week, the weekend on the 8th, we've got the Venus is in a sextile with Pluto. Now, this is great also leading up to Valentine's Day, and I'm not sure whether I mentioned this in my love article. If I didn't, and it was an oversight, so but this is like almost a deeply, madly falling in love time aspect. It's very intense. So Venus, of course, is the love goddess, but let's not forget that Venus has another side too. She can be jealous, and Pluto is a very powerful, intense energy. So there's a strong connection there. So it's like whether these aspects are going to influence your work, business, personal, love, relationships, family, whatever area they're going to influence. It's a very strong connections. Now throw in a full moon there this week as well on the 3rd in the sign of Leo. Leo is a very generous sign, very generous energy and vibration. And it's on the 3rd, and we do have on the 6th, just after that full moon, that opposition with Jupiter in Leo and the Sun in Aquarius. So, there's a lot happening this week that can really just get things moving, and if nothing else, then you can feel quite intense about what's happening in your life, okay? Now, this is great because when you get that intensity, it's almost like it gives you the shove or push to make changes or to come to realizations that you perhaps have been sitting dormant and you haven't wanted to look at, and all of a sudden, there they are with this intense energy. Throw in Mercury retrograde as well, and it's like, wow, you can't ignore it anymore. You've got to look at it. So, okay, so, from challenges just come some level of support, and from the messiness in life comes growth. So I've learned that over the years. There's no point trying to avoid messiness in your life. If you do, you'll stagnate, okay? And of course, it might feel nice to do that for a little while, but not for too long. Okay, so let's go through now and have a quick look at it. Now, just a recap on each sign here of how that's going to affect. Now, excuse me, starting with Aries, of course, which is the start of the zodiac. You've got that interaction there between Pluto at the end of the week and Venus. Venus is in the sign before you. Pluto is in your area of business. So it's like if something needs to be changed in business, it's almost like something will come out of the blue to just tap you on the shoulder, tweak your intuition, and you'll feel very strongly, as you do, Aries, you generally feel very strongly about what's happening in your life, and that's what gives you the motivation and the will to make the changes when you get that sort of strong feeling and vibe. Okay, so there is quite a bit of energy sitting right there behind you. We've got Venus and Mars sitting in the sign behind you. Mars, of course, is your ruler, and quite often it's a trigger. So we're going to have that intenseness sort of nudge of telling you this is what you should do. Okay, pay attention to that. It's pretty well going to be right, every time when you get that intenseness of that feeling, okay? When it comes to friends, let's see. Now we've got Mercury in that 11th house area. It's very social. You want to sort of weigh up what's happening with friends. If something doesn't feel right, it's probably not, okay? So once again, take notice of your instincts. With love, the full moon is right there in your 5th house. This is very much to do with collaboration with people. You could have endings and beginnings. It's also an area where love affairs can start. So, it's almost like all of a sudden when the moon is involved, then sometimes you really don't have time to plan. It's like you can walk around the corner and bang, you just meet somebody. Okay, so be prepared for what happens next this week, but also just don't be too quick to put things into action either. It is a Mercury retrograde period, and you want to just see what happens next. I want to say that there's more to come, okay? All right, let's move on to Taurus. So Taurus, we have in your Mercury still sitting there in your solid 10th house to do with business, and we have that opposition between the Sun and Jupiter. Sun being your 10th house and Jupiter being in the 4th house. So it's almost like, it seems like something is going to happen this week. It's like you get news of something coming through. It can also have an influence or effect on your home life. It's like you do make a change or a decision in one area of your life, and then it has like a domino effect in the other area of your life. So we know that you don't like change too much, but it's like what happens over this period can work out for the best for you. So try not to spend too much time worrying about things, okay? There also could be some news coming through about monetary matter as well. Somebody can step forward and help you on a financial level. And my advice there would be to just say thank you, but remember there really is no such thing as a free lunch. We think there might be, but somewhere along the way you're probably going to need to pay back a favor in some manner, okay? So just something to sort of keep in the back of your mind, to try to always keep the scales balanced, and the energy of give and take between you and others. It's always a good thing to try and keep that balanced in some way. Friends can really come forward for you now, and also for romance, you could, if you're looking for love, then it certainly could get an introduction over this month through a friend. With the Venus and Mars sitting in this social area of your chart, then you don't want to be spending all your time at the office, okay? All right, let's move on to Gemini. Okay, Gemini, we've got a middle of the week or towards the end of the week on the 5th, there's an interaction between your ruling planet, Mercury, and Saturn. So with Saturn being right opposite you there in your area of relationships, and there could be certainly something going on which you need to sort of think more carefully about, a discussion that comes through. Now remember that Mercury is a retrograde at the moment, so if you do intend on having a deep heart-to-heart or a sensitive discussion, you want to sort of think it through, maybe even write it down, and sometimes when you put pen to paper it just helps to clarify your thoughts a little more, so that's a great thing to do. On a business level, with Mars and Venus, and certainly Venus and Neptune in that conjunction at the start of the week in your solar 10th house, or to do with your career and business. Excuse me. Certainly people can step forward to give you some type of a helping hand or encouragement, or some development that can come through a work colleague or somebody within your industry. It may not be it may not turn out in the end how it starts out. Okay, so try to keep an open mind, and expect that things may turn out differently. It's not to say that they'll be worse or better, just different. Okay. Now, the full moon in your area of communication is another reason just to be a little bit careful of what to say to who, and more importantly, how you say it. It's not always, what you say. Sometimes it's how you say it, and the body language that can make such a difference, all right? Okay, let's move on to Cancer. The full moon is right in the next sign to you, Cancer. Of course, you're ruled by the moon, so anything that happens with the moon is going to have a great influence on your life. But in this area of this solar second house, and certainly with the opposition between the Sun and Jupiter, let's have a look when that is, on the 6th, and the full moon on the 3rd. When we put these all together, it's all about money and possessions in the second house where the full moon is, but it's very much about you feeling worthy of receiving what you want in life. So it's like developing your sense of self to a level where you don't have any guilty feelings about receiving. You don't have any unworthy feelings, or are not good enough, or anything like that, which can quite often stem from childhood. And we do have Saturn, which is a father figure, sitting in your solar 6th house for a couple of years. So this is really about work and how you lay the foundations for your career, and about getting organized. So this week, with Mercury also retrograde right through to the 12th of this month, this is a great week to get organized, okay, particularly with financial matters. And you could hear news of a deal or prospect that's going to be good for you financially. So you just want to work through that, and if you can help it, I would leave any signing of documents until after the 12th, till after about the 15th would be better. I know that the planets don't always, you line up, but, if you can do that, then I would advise that. This is a great time to get everything in place, and to get, all your... Look the documents over. Make sure you get someone else to have a look at them as well. If you do have to sign an official document before this time, then, don't worry too much. Go ahead and do it. Just make sure that you read the fine print and you go through it. Don't make any assumptions, okay? Don't be signing anything that someone just sort of shoves under your nose. You want to sort of read it through, and to be a little bit wary and cautious, which is a good way to be at all times anyway. All right, so let's have a look at what else is happening. We've got Venus and Mars sitting there in your solar 9th house. A good time for study. Some of you will be traveling or doing business from afar, and possibly, in a different country. And if you're love mate or your partner is away, then stay in touch electronically. I mean, we're so lucky these days that, it's so easy to stay in touch. You want to make use of that, because, just a few words here and there reaching out to someone can just let them know that how special they are to you. So, try to, keep that in mind. All right, so moving on to Leo. So the full moon this month, this week, on the 3rd, in your sign, Leo. So this can give you a little bit of shake-up, make you feel somewhat unsettled. So you want to just work through that and try not to make any rash decisions, particularly as right opposite you, there is Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde at the moment, and the full moon is on the 3rd, and then we've got on the 6th an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter in your sign. So this can set up a very positive vibe. It's all to do with relationships, but you want to keep realistic about it and try to see. It's great to have that feeling of just love and that electric feeling and those first love moments, and you get sort of tied up on that and on cloud nine. It's fabulous. We all love that, and I'm not saying don't have that. Embrace that, but also know that there's generally two sides of every situation and also person. So you want to try to see the whole person, and so that way there's not any surprises down the track. Okay. Now, when I look at monetary matters, then certainly someone can step forward to give you a helping hand with some finances now. Mars is involved in this position of your chart, so be careful that you don't make any rash decisions, particularly as Mercury is retrograde. Okay, so you're better off to just look something over, and it doesn't mean to say don't go ahead with a situation. Certainly it looks like there's some great opportunities coming through for you now, Leo, but you want to be a little wary of just seeing what the whole situation is and try to see if somebody has a alternative motive. Okay, alternate motive. So and people generally do, because we all want the deal to be right for us, as well as everybody else. We hope that they're looking for a win-win situation, and that's what you want to make sure of, is that you're getting what's fair for you. Okay, and there's no indication that that's not going to happen, Leo, but there is an indication that it's good to sleep on it for a night or two or longer if you can, rather than rush in. There could be some information or details that have not been revealed just as yet. Okay. Now, so you have a look at there's a good time to study at the moment as well. So you could cross paths with somebody who's going to put you in touch with an area or a situation or a course or some way, or just impart some information that's going to help you just be a little more knowledgeable. And as we know, knowledge is power. Okay. All right, let's move on and have a look at Virgo. Right opposite you, Virgo, we've still got Venus and Mars. So Venus and Mars are like the love duo of the romance. So Venus is like the romantic side and Mars is the passionate side, and they're sitting there in your solar 7th house, so all to do with relationships. So this is like a great position for you. Start of the week to kick this month off. Venus is conjunct with Neptune, another beautiful romantic aspect of planetary interaction. And so my advice for you is to stay in touch with your heart center. Okay, don't get too involved into your mind. Like, just enjoy the moment and enjoy what's happening in your life. We're leading up to Valentine's Day on the 14th, so it is the month of love. Excuse me. So yeah, just try and enjoy the moment of love. If you're looking for love, this is great time to get out and socialize as well, and don't sit at home behind your desk for too long. Okay, now Mercury, your planet, your ruling planet, which is in your work area, is still retrograde. So this is a great time to just get things together and do some planning or restructure, get organized. So it's a better time to get organized and think, plan, than to put into action if you can, okay? It's also in your area of productivity as well. So it's perfect. If you can use the energy to your advantage, then that'd be great. I mean, everybody goes, oh boy, Mercury retrograde, we're in for trouble, mayhem, mayhem coming. But it's really great, particularly in your solar sixth house, Virgo, and being your ruler. It's great to sort of get organized and start to restructure or get things together, and even thinking things through. So that's a terrific time to do that. Now, there seems to be some discussions around your home area of life, and there could be some reorganization at home as well, and particularly your day-to-day activity. Perhaps some of you might be starting a gym, or just re-looking at how you can keep your health and well-being, more up to date and better for you. And we have to change what we're doing occasionally, because firstly, our bodies tend to get into too much of a groove and doesn't have as much effect. But also, as we grow, we change, and so it's necessary to just switch around what we're doing with our well-being and our health as well. And this is a great time for you to do that. All right, so if I have a look at what's happening on a monetary level, certainly an opportunity around finances can come through. You'll know if it's right or not for you. Listen to your instincts, okay? We've had the full moon there in the sign before you, earlier in the week, rather, on the 3rd, or early in the month too. So just pay attention to how you feel about things, particularly around a financial matter, and your intuition should be able to give you all the answers that you want or need. All right, so moving on to Libra. So Libra, right there in your opposite you, we've got the Sun in a sextile with Uranus in opposite your sign, and the Sun is in your solar 5th house. So this is like great for love. If you're looking for love, these love affairs can start in the 5th house. With these two connection, it's an opportunity that can come past. It's almost like an introduction to someone can happen this week. I mean, the timing has to be right for it. I mean, if you're not introduced to your one and only soulmate, well, really, the timing's just not right for you. Because we have to take our personal charts into consideration as well. So, don't worry too much. If you're looking for love and you're open for love, it will happen when the time's right, okay? All right, so in your solar 6th house, which is all to do with your day-to-day activity, your overall health, well-being, we've got Venus, Mars, and Neptune here. With Venus in this area, I always think it's nice when Venus is in the 6th house to really have a look at your personal presentation and make some decisions about how you want to improve your wow factor, okay? So this could be on many levels. It could be like your image, or you might want to just feel better and look at your health, your diet, the vitamins you're taking, your daily routine, and how you can look after yourself better and change that routine so it works for you better, okay? So it's a great time to do that. Mars is in this area as well, so that Mars is like the motivational energy, gives you the motivation and the will to, once you think things through, is to just put them into action. So this is very nice placement there. There's should be some communication going with siblings. Mercury is still retrograde, so want to be just mindful that, of course, with you, Libra, you're going to think through the pros and cons, and you should not let anybody rush you past that point of, excuse me, thinking things through. That's what you do best. So that's what you should do this, this week as well, particularly if it's to do around siblings, or particularly if you're out in the public in any way or in media. I always say it's great to listen to the politicians, and you can pick up lots of notes and little cues and things of how to avoid answering a question and to give yourself some thinking time. So when you watch what the politicians do, they do all sorts of things. They just build in that little extra time until they're ready they've got their thoughts together, and you want to do that this week. All right. Around friends, somebody could show you their true colors this week, so try not to overreact. I mean, just see what comes up. Sometimes when you're silent, it's the best. Inaction can be the best action, because if you're silent, you let somebody else talk, you just never know what they're going to reveal. Okay, so don't be too quick to fill the space. Ask more questions than you answer. That's how you get to know more. Okay. All right, so moving on to Scorpio. We've still got the communication planet Mercury in your solar 4th house, all around your home area. Scorpio, it is still retrograde, and there are a couple of aspects with, or an aspect with Mercury and Saturn. Let's see when that is, on the 5th. So when it's to do with money, and particularly with family, then you want to really take a step back, think logically and methodically about how you want a situation to play out, okay? Weigh up the pros and cons. Don't be in a rush to come to a finalization. Great time this week and right through to, say, around the 12th. When Mercury comes out of retrograde, a great time to get things in order, do the research, get everybody's opinion, weigh out the pros and cons, as I said, and particularly if it's about money and family. And then once you gather all the data, then you'll be in you can make a decision from a more informed place, okay? All right, so we've got the full moon earlier in the week in your solar 10th house, so this is your career and business area. So if there's a little bit of a shake-up that can happen, then it probably needs to, okay? So if there's some cracks around what's happening around work or with your career or on a business level, the full moon can really sort of open that up and make it almost like a make it or break it sort of time, where it's almost like a trigger. So if something needs to be changed, the energy of the full moon can help you do that. So although it can be somewhat disruptive, what comes out of that can be much better, okay? When the pieces fall down to place, or when you make the changes, then you can move forward from a much more productive, positive standpoint. So don't worry about a little bit of dishevel, okay? So as I say, it's the messiness in life that allows us to regroup, restructure, and move on. So never be scared of a little bit of messiness. When it comes to love, we've got Venus and Mars and Neptune in that solar 5th house. So, this is a great time to meet somebody, or get out and about and be social, and you just never know. And you go to places where you can meet like-minded people. So if you like to go to museums, join a museum. If you like to look at art or play golf or whatever it is you like to do, then frequent those places. And when you do that, you can never know who you might run into. Okay, life is like that. Okay, let's move on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, we've still got quite a bit of activity in your solar fourth house. There's Venus, Mars, Neptune there. So there is an indication that I know you've had quite a bit of activity going on in your around your home and family area life. So this is looking like it can start to come together now more, but not without your energy and probably not without some level of compromise, okay? And right at the start of the week, we have Venus there in a conjunction with Neptune. It can indicate that there's an ideal situation that can come out of it. But with Mars there as well, you don't want to be too hasty. You just take a step back, wait until everybody has their input. There could be sort of more going on behind the scenes than you know of, and you want to, just let everybody have their say and things be revealed, okay? Particularly as we've got Mercury still retrograde, and the Mercury is in your area of communication, and there is a interaction between Mercury and Saturn in your sign this week as well. So that sort of gives a suggestion, let's say, for you to weigh up the pros and cons and just to think things through on a more practical level rather than a reactive level, and see what comes out of that. Now there's towards the end of the week, there is a very nice connection to do around money and still to do around family or your home, or make money from your home possibly, and you could come in connection with somebody that can help you with that. So that's nice news. All right, let's move on to Capricorn. excuse me Capricorns. Very long video, these one videos per week now, and I do tend to get a little bit hoarse, so I should take my suggestions, and so some people give me about doing the honey and the hot tea. Okay, so Pluto, of course, in your sign, Capricorn, for the long haul. At the end of the week, there's going to be a sextile between Pluto and Venus. Now, you could be put out, let's see, if you're in the media in some way or around family even, it's like a family connection. This is like a fall madly and deeply in love with Venus and Pluto, because the Pluto is very intense energy, and of course Venus is the goddess of love. So you could be communicating in some way that's going to put you in touch with somebody on a romantic level. So just watch out for that. Okay, now let's have a look at what's happening with money. So there could very well be some communication that comes through around finances this week, and there's a full moon on the 3rd, and also an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter on the 6th. So very optimistic. It's almost like if something breaks down and doesn't go the way that you thought it was going to go early in the week, it's almost like that can part way to let a new situation come through, which can be much better for you. Okay, so it's almost like I feel what happens at the start of the week is not complete. There's more to be revealed, more to come, and it's like once a void is created in your life, then something new comes in. It's a very, very optimistic time, very positive. Let's not forget that Mercury is still retrograde and in this one of your monetary zones. The main thing for you over this period, right through over this Mercury retrograde, Capricorn, is for you to maintain a high level of self-worth, okay? And of course this is something that we're all dealing with all the time, but very, very much so for you, Capricorn, to be wary of your self-talk and wary of your what you say and your linguistics anyway. And I would say to a good friend, that you can't afford a negative thought, please, pull me up if I'm like being too negative or going down on myself, because sometimes it's a habitable response and we don't realize we're doing it, and we get that whole Saturnian blue thing comes in, and we can just get a little bit down on ourselves. Okay, so don't. You want to turn every thought around to a positive. Look at life through the lens of the glass half full, not half empty, and try to put what you want in your life in terms of what you want rather than what you don't want. Sometimes it's the same outcome, but getting there, if you put in the terms of what you want rather than what you don't want, in my mind, it goes out on a higher vibrational sunbeam, okay, and that's how it will come back in for you. So that's really my main homework for us Capricorns for this week, to try and have a conscious effort of monitoring our thought patterns and our attitudes and our what we think and what we say, and try to be a witness a little bit to our thoughts rather than be so involved with them, like what's going on around us, in other words. So there certainly seems to be a lot of communication going on around you at the moment, and a lot of things bubbling up that can come through. You just want to wait until all the pieces come through and don't make any rash decisions. Not that you would, Capricorn, and it's certainly the older we get, the wiser we get, and the more we know that if we can sleep on things a couple of days, then we can feel quite differently about them. Oh, that's Yogi, my little Aries puppy, and somebody must be coming back next door. He loves to bark at them. So, and around in that home area too, where we've got Uranus on the 2nd, there's a connection between the sun, which is around money, and our home as well. So some of us could actually have an opportunity to make some money from home in some way. So that's nice news. All right, so let's move on to Aquarius. Aquarius, we've still got Mercury, the communication planet, in your sign, still retrograde right through to the 12th of the month. It will be stationary, direct on the 11th and direct on the 12th. So we do, excuse me, we do have a sextile with Mercury and Saturn. That's on the 5th of the month. And Saturn is sitting there in your 11th house, which can indicate that there's some news or discussions going on around friends, quite possibly to do with finances, and something that can come through around money or finances, or maybe even an old debt being paid can start to come through now. There's also a lot of activity in your solar 2nd house. This is your money house, to do with money and possessions, also very much to do with your self-worth and how worthy you feel of money and possessions. Now, Venus is in this area, and this can indicate that Venus, I always feel, attracts money. Also, she's a temptress, so she can tempt you to spend it. So be careful that you don't, if you're waiting on extra cash to come through, be careful that you don't spend it before you actually get it, okay? So Venus can really just get you, it's a little bit idealistic, particularly with the connection between Venus and Neptune right at the start of the week. So if you're doing some projections on something, then, sometimes it's better to expect a little less, and then, you're not, let's face it, disappointments come from high expectations. So I don't want you to limit, put limitations, but it is good to be idealistic as well as a little realistic. That way, if you come somewhere in the middle, then that's a great thing. Now, Mars is also in this solar 2nd house of yours to do with money, and Mars is a little bit about risk taking. Okay, so this is another reason why I'm just asking you to step back a little bit and be a little bit more realistic, and don't get involved in taking risks with money, particularly as we do have Mercury is retrograde, and there is a full moon as well in your area of relationships early in the week on the 3rd. So there's a lot of things that feel that changeable around you with relationships and around money, and also communication, Aquarius, because we've got your ruling planet and the sun in a sextile earlier in the week as well, on the 2nd, right on the Monday. So it's like I feel things are about to fall into place, but they're not quite gelled yet. There's more information to come through. Okay, so what I'm suggesting to you to do is to be excited about what's to come through, but don't act on it yet. Wait until everything falls into place, okay? And just take a step back, get a wider view of what's going on, and be a little bit patient. Easier said than done. Okay, so let's go on to Pisces. So Pisces, it's all about love for you at the moment, and being the month of love, Valentine's Day coming up. So, right now at the start of the month, we've got Venus in that conjunction with Neptune. In the sign of love, Pisces just love to fall in love, and of course Neptune is a very romantic energy and quite fanciful, and of course Venus is the goddess of love. So if you're looking for love, there's a good chance that it can come and tap on your heart this week, and certainly over this month. Now Mars is in this in your chart as well, in your sign rather, and Mars is like the passionate side. So with Venus and Mars close together here, and they will conjunct, be at the same degree a little later in the month on the 22nd by memory. So this is like the yin and the yang of love. It's like the love duo. Venus is the romantic side and Mars is the passionate side. So there's very like an electric connection there. So if you're in a relationship, you want to give that relationship a little more time and space in your calendar. And, remember, life is for living today as well, not always for planning for tomorrow. You're always planning for tomorrow, then you sort of miss out on today. And if you miss out on today, then you really sort of miss out on living your life, okay? So pull back a little bit on the planning and the reaching, and remember to, live a little bit for today. Now, the full moon is in your solar 6th house. This is all to do with your day-to-day activity around business. There's some news likely to come through this week as well to do about business. It may take a while to permeate into reality. Not sure if that's a correct term, but hopefully you know what I mean. Mercury is retrograde, so what you hear now to do with business and an opportunity that can come through, be a little practical about it and wait until everything comes to pass. Feels like there's more to come around business as well. And certainly at the start of the week with the full moon there, you could very well have some changes which can be out of your control. But once that happens, it can open up the space for something else to come through. So that's right at the start of the week. And by the end of the week, it feels like things are starting to come through. And certainly more towards the middle of the month, they can be put into action, okay? All right, well, love and luck to you. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jennifer Angel. I hope you have a fabulous week. Bye for now.